Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Nerdy Multiverse and yet another breakdown. Today we will be breaking down and giving our initial thoughts on episode 6 of the 4th season of The Boys. A very strange episode to say the least. But anyways, episode 6 of this season is titled Dirty Business. And this episode begins with Butcher alongside Joe Kessler still holding Samir as their prisoner, in hopes of creating more of the virus. Butcher is in major need of this anti-soup virus so that he can at least try to take out Homelander. And once again, here we see the effects of Butcher's illness as he continues to show increasing signs of his downfall. We then cut to Hughie, Daphne, and some of the boys walking through a Made in Manhattan tour as they spread Hugh's ashes. While they walk through this tour and pay respects to Hugh, we can see a taxi with an ad for the new Vought project, Black at It, surrounding the characters of A-Train, Sister Sage, and Black Noir. Something we heard about in the previous episode, of course. They are also interrupted by someone who screams at Starlight for the things that she got exposed for doing by Firecracker. Now at a Vernon Correctional facility, Kimiko tries to get visitation to see Frenchie after he turned himself in for the murders he had committed against Colin's family. But he does not want any visitors, it seems, as she gets denied. Now the Vernon Correctional facilities are owned by none other than Tek Knight, whose real name is Robert Vernon. This aspect actually plays a pretty big role in the plot and some of the reveals in this very episode. We then see that the speaker role of VNN has been taken over by Firecracker herself. This is obviously because of Cameron Coleman's death from last episode, as he was framed for being the leak. Of course, Vought is covering it up and says he is only on a sabbatical. And this is where Mother's Milk is called by A-Train, who informs him of this. They will likely eventually figure out that Cameron was not the leak and could even figure out that it was actually A-Train, which puts him in danger as well. He also informs him that Homelander is building an army. M then calls in Starlight, Hughie, and Kimiko for a mission. They plan to send Hughie into Tek Knight's meeting tonight at his mansion. Of course, in disguise though. Who is he disguising as though? Well, the boys' parody of Spider-Man, known as Webweaver. And let's just say his webs come from other places. And this parody of Spider-Man gets even funnier when his safe word is revealed to be Zendaya. Now, Webweaver may be that parody of Spider-Man in The Boys, but there is also another Spider-Person in Marvel Comics that actually has the same exact alias of Webweaver. Now at Tek Knight's mansion, where the 7, Victoria Newman, and plenty of political figures meet. This entire thing was planned out beforehand by Sister Sage, as this was actually what she was speaking to Tek Knight about in the previous episode while in the tower. Their plan here is to unite all of these political figures against Robert Singer, who obviously plans to sign bills that would take away any sort of government-like powers away from Soups. And of course, while we are here, we see just how much of a terrible person Tek Knight really is. Hughie then sneaks into this party or meeting in disguise, planting bugs around the house so that the boys can hear and listen in on what these plans really are. He is then taken by Tek Knight to the Tek Knight cave, as Webweaver was set to be his next sidekick. We meet Tek Knight's butler Elijah down here in this cave, and this is very clearly yet another parody of Batman and Alfred, and of course the Batcave. And let's just say things get really strange down here as Ashley and Tek Knight come together and, well, do some very weird things to Hughie that we are obviously not going to touch on. In typical boys fashion, some things just cannot be talked about in breakdowns. But anyways, we then see at the Vought Tower, Black Noir 2.0 unmasked sitting in Homelander's chair, as the Deep walks in. These two were not invited to Tek Knight's meeting, and Black Noir reveals that he actually has the ability to fly and he is planning on leaving. Now, this whole flying thing likely does not mean anything, as tons of soups do have that ability, but this also just reminds me of the Black Noir from the comics, who was eventually revealed to be a clone of Homelander himself, and the key to taking him down. We can also see that the Deep has really taken inspiration from Homelander and is sort of picking up on his traits, as he says that violence is power, recalling the OG Black Noir's keenness for violence. Starlight, Kimiko, and M decide that they need to head inside and rescue Hughie, as something has clearly gone wrong, which it has, as Tek Knight uses those detective skills and abilities and figures out Hughie is under the mask. M reveals a case of halothane that they can use just in case. This is the same type of gas or chemical that M attempted to use against Soldier Boy when he confronted him. Butcher is met by the hallucination of Becca once more as she questions him on why he cut off an innocent man's leg. All of this bloodlust and his wishes to take Homelander out are just going to lead to another person like Homelander to take his place. And when Becca vanishes, behind her is a poster of Crimson Countess, the former lover to Soldier Boy and member of the Payback team. The poster also reads off, "Don't be a time thief." This could very well be an underlying message for Butcher himself, to stop wasting the time he may have left in trying to kill someone and just to get Ryan back and make things right. Newman goes around meeting with the other political figures at this party in an attempt to gain their favor, although it is very clearly just irritating to her, as we can see her imagining popping her own head while listening to them. Firecracker tries to join the meeting between Sage, Homelander, and Newman, but gets thrown out. But this does come around to play a part in how much her role will eventually change near the end. While the team sneaks into Tek Knight's mansion, Starlight runs into Firecracker once again, and they nearly get into another fight, where we once again see Starlight's powers being faulty, while Firecracker displays her Jubilee from the X-Men-like powers. M and Kimiko also run into Sage while they sneak in, and she taunts M with his family. Starlight ends up stabbing Firecracker with a syringe that likely has the halothane in it, and M shoots Sage in the head. Now, obviously, this does not kill Sage. As she explained in a previous episode, if her brain is damaged, it will regenerate. However, if it was anywhere else, she would have likely died. M does end up passing out and nearly having a heart attack after shooting her, however, which is where A-Train's redemption arc continues on, as he reluctantly agrees to run M to the hospital. But when he drops him off, he is recognized by a kid and they exchange smiles. He is finally being recognized for real heroic actions. I do fear that this redemption is not going to end well, however. Starlight and Kimiko rescue Hughie and then start interrogating Tek Knight, questioning him on what Homelander and Sister Sage's real plans really are. He doesn't give up any answers initially until, of course, they threaten to donate millions of his dollars to social justice movements. He reveals that Homelander and Sage plan on putting their dissidents into Tek Knight's correctional facilities around the world, after Homelander's army is built up. So basically, internment camps. After hearing this, Tek Knight's butler Elijah ends up killing him. Now, of course, after Sage is shot or her brain is injured in any way, she loses all of that intelligence for some time. This makes Homelander and Newman take over for her and give their speech instead. All of the political figures end up showing support and practically allegiance to Homelander's plan and Newman. Obviously, Newman is Robert Singer's planned elected vice president, but she plans to get rid of him once they are in office, so that she can get that main spot as president of the entire country, putting the Supes in even more of a powerful position. And the fact that we see her working with Homelander here is actually pretty surprising. But she is clearly using that intelligence and manipulation to gain his favor here. Although she was secretly trying to develop that virus to control or eliminate him. Now at the hospital, and of course rocking another iconic rap t-shirt. He is informed that he did not suffer from a heart attack this time, luckily, but he eventually will if he continues doing what he is doing. And speaking of t-shirts, feel free to check out our Scorched Earth merch inspired by the series. The link is in the description below. All of your support, regardless, is greatly appreciated though. Anyways, Kimiko and Hughie are both going through a lot, as Kimiko only has one place that she feels that she can go, and that is to go see Frenchie in prison, in which she attempts to do once more. Well, Hughie had to just say goodbye to his own father in the previous episode, and then go through everything that just happened at Tek Knight's mansion in this one. Things get weird once again, and I guess you could say we are going down an old road, as Firecracker meets with Homelander and informs him of Tek Knight's death, and Starlight being at the meeting and likely being responsible. But then she surprises him with, milk. So knowing Homelander, Firecracker is going to get special treatment now, as they grow closer because of this, in what is likely going to be a very similar relationship to what he had with Madeline Stillwell. Now back with Butcher and Samir once more, as he demands Samir to make more of the virus, and to make it as strong as possible so that it can kill Homelander. This is where Samir reveals that they tried to, but they couldn't, because if they did, the virus would ultimately kill every single soup on the planet. Becca appears and urges Butcher to not go along with this, as he has friends that are soups, and they would die as well. But Joe Kessler is there as well, and he is encouraging him to do it, as he has been talking about it all of this time. But all of this takes a turn when Joe turns and starts talking to the hallucination of Becca, making all of that speculation true, as Joe has also been a hallucination this entire time. He reveals that he took over for Butcher and killed Ezekiel for him. So Butcher's powers do seem quite a lot like Moon Knight's, with a possible mix of Venoms if there really is a symbiotic part to it. Joe ends up saying the same exact thing that Butcher said to Hughie back in season 2. And as Butcher realizes what is going on and how crazy and sick he really is, the episode ends off. And overall, another pretty good episode in my opinion, and a great showing of how both of these teams are really going along with their plans. The reveal with Butcher may have been obvious to the entire audience, but it was so well done. And as usual, everything is very enjoyable about this series, and I never have really anything negative to say about it, but this was another one of those out of this world crazy and very weird like episodes. But I cannot wait for next week. But yeah, that about does it for this episode, from me at least, but of course I would like to hear your thoughts on the episode as well, so make sure to leave them down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed our breakdown and review on this episode, don't forget to give it a like. And with that being said, we will see you all the next time that we go through and explore the nerdy multiverse.